Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Welcome to a new live stream. So I hope you're doing well. Hello, my name is John Skippy Linpool. Yay! Oh, I got more lights to turn on. Let's see here. I can go there. A little more sparkle. I don't know if this gets you guys excited, but let's see if I can do this so I can see what I'm going to show you. I have a new ring light, and it's really cool. It's got a remote control for it, so I can make it purple or red or any color I want. And it's not broken. The other live stream I had, or the other ring light I had, let's see, there's blue, let's go back to white. The other ring light I had, half of it stopped working, and so it was time for a new one. So this has a cool little remote. It can flash and do all sorts of silly things. So that makes me happy. So by the way, if you do anything with webcams, get a ring light. It's the best thing you can do. If I didn't have this ring light, this is how this video would look. And I'd have to find, I have, other lights like this that I could use. But these types of things are really hard to get good light that's even and balanced and so forth, right? And compare this, I could find the place to place it and stuff like that. But compare that to this $35 ring light, and it's just like no comparison. So if you do Zoom chats, if you do any of that kind of stuff, highly recommend you get a ring light. You'll look better than if you didn't. And it's USB, so you can just plug it into a charger in the wall or to your computer, something like that. It will make you look like you actually care about how you look. Okay. Yeah. So last week, sorry I canceled the live stream at the last minute. I scratched my left eye, which is my primary eye, and it's still scratched. And everything is still milky, but it was difficult to see with it, and I was just really upset because as a photographer and someone that uses cameras and stuff, I like seeing things and it looks the way it's supposed to. And I scratched my eye, and I've got medicine I'm using for it, stuff like that. It's really weird. Yeah, so sorry about that, but if I'm not in a good mood, I'm not going to do a live stream because I have to be in a good mood. If I'm sitting and looking at you guys and I'm like bummed out about my eye and stuff like that, then that doesn't work out very well. So, sorry. But anyway, so we have some fun stuff. There's something that happened I was going to show you last week that we'll look at today. And that's Cherry Audio has a new synth called Memory Mode. And it is their best synth to date as far as accurately nailing everything about it. It's really great. Tons of patches, all sorts of stuff. It's the best. I also purchased Hammers, which is a new library from Spitfire Audio of percussion and drums for cinematic use, but it's useful for all sorts of things. And we'll look at that too, and we'll talk about that. And also, I've had requests from a couple of people to look at MIDI files. And what can you do with MIDI files in Unify, right? How can you use them? I've got a video I did showing scalar and how to get your MIDI effects to show up. Make sure you watch that video because I'm going to be showing you stuff that requires you to actually have MIDI effects show up, and maybe we'll cover that when we get there. So to start with, I'm going to show you a little bit more about a library I've been working on pretty steadily for the last 2 or 3 weeks. This is the Chill Guitar Phrases library, and I've decided to expand it a little bit more. It's taken a while for me to figure out my concept of how I want this to be, and I think I have something that's cool whether you want the guitar samples or not. It's actually going to be useful for a lot of you in a lot of different ways. And I'm just starting to build the actual playable things. I've been building mostly content and drum grooves and stuff like that. The concept of the library now is that there is the guitar phrases themselves. There's 61 phrases across the keyboard, and then there's 3 drum kits. And as you see, I put 2021 on them because they are modified versions of 2 of the drum kits that come from Cloud City. I've made them formatted like my Super Macho Drums library so that they play just kick drums down in the low part, then a whole bunch of snares. That way I can change MIDI files and it works. I've also expanded so that the grooves themselves are actually 3-layer drum grooves. So you have the kick, you have the snare, and then you have all the other percussion as 3 different layers. So if you want, you could put a reverb on the snare and it doesn't affect the kick right off the bat. So you can easily do some cool mixing and stuff like that. The library itself, you saw me playing for a minute at the beginning. I've got it now so that, right? So this is using a new drum kit called Hyper Liquid. It's actually part of Super Macho Drums. I've modified the sample so it's not the same as the Hyper Liquid kit that comes from Super Macho Drums, because most of those drums are like really long, ringy drums. And when you start doing grooves, you find that you can't do that. So for example, let's see, if I was to mute this and go like this, make sure I got my envelopes. They're shorter. Some are still long. I also have gone through and added ambience to the samples. And the concept for the libraries that I like to do for drums is that you have an area of kicks, and you have snares. So you have a lot of choices to play with. 2 additional kicks that start the general MIDI map right here to about here. That's oh, I'm missing a note. Can I get it? There. Is general MIDI, right? So you've got kick, snare, hi-hats. So that way you can load general MIDI maps into your sequencer, transpose them up an octave, and they play with these, the way that they're set up. Sorta. My toms, I like to do multiple sets of toms in the tom range instead of just one set. So we have toms here and then a whole different set of toms here. And then there's a whole bunch of patterns that I've done for this so that, let's see, please load. Why are you not? Let's do, let me do I guess maybe a library update, because that one's not loading, so I might have changed something in the Finder with it. Yes, this is a work in progress library. This is the next one that will be coming out hopefully in August. That's the plan. There's some features that we're working on that when the next update to Unify comes out later, will make this even better than it is now. When we get, I made the mistake of, gotta wait a minute while it like updates the patches for a second. Sorry about that. So let's see, I can show you the guitar phrases this way. Let's see, solo. So the guitar phrases themselves are really wonderful, and there's 61 of them. So let's say unpitched. And they're available in different tempos. We don't have liquid audio for our audio playback. So if you change the tempo in your DAW beyond 100, it won't play these right. So, But what's great with these is that the different samples, there's this guy in Germany I'm working with that created this content. And there's other content for other future libraries. And what's wonderful, each sample is a different space. So it's truly tons of song starting ideas. They all sound different. Right? And by using MIDI box, we can go over here to say this is the 100 beat per minute, right? So if I turn on MIDI box, and you can do this for now. It's actually going to be better in the future, but we have a system in place now where, oh, I don't have this set up right. Let's see. If I go, like, say, 85 beats per minute here. If I open this up, you can see, let's make sure you can see this. See the guitar phrase? It says the chord progression. As I move this, right? So it's playing the guitar phrase. So I have all these to work with. I can look and see what the chord progression is. And then what takes it even farther than this is that the bass is able to be opened up, and it's a Unify patch from this library, and I have a whole bunch of other basses, so you can choose a different bass, and the right hand is also from this library, and you can choose other keyboard sounds. So you can, this is, I can't see what the chords are, G minor. And then on top of this, the guitar itself, I have distortion, reverb, pulse, pump house. So you do a pump and an LFO and the filter cutoff. So there's all sorts of things you can do to the sampled phrase of the guitar, including volume, because a lot of times what you do is you use the guitar phrase for, like, the chorus. And then you get to one part of the song, and you want the guitar part to fade out. For the verses and so forth like that. So you have control to automate these in real time into your DAW while you're working on the song. So you can have a guitar go away when you don't want it, bring it back, add distortion, do all this fun stuff to all these different guitar phrases. And then this switches to all the phrases. If I want a different bass, I can go down. want a different drum groove, I can go to the drums. I could go over here to some of the hip grooves and stuff like that. And so everything is modular. I'm making it in a way so that you can go, that sound isn't working for me. I want a cool pluck. Let's see here. I got to get my volume. So that's the idea of the library. It's still a work in progress. There's stuff still to do to it, but it's really, really fun to have something, you know, anytime you put something that's played by humans into it, you can do sequencing around it and it just brings everything to life. It's really, really fun. Hi, Jan. Welcome, everybody. If someone would create fantasy-based music in Unify, what library would you recommend? Well, I would definitely recommend Cloud City for fantasy-based to start with, because this is all based on a beautiful cloud city in the sky is the concept for it. So there's, sorry to deviate, but I'll answer. And then there's all this stuff that's just really, really cool. Wordle percussion, grooves, pads that are super cool and unique. And I mean, fantasy is what it's all about. There's 500 patches in Cloud City, so this would definitely be a place. And it's on sale right now. Just so you guys know, there's a 25% off weekend sale going on. So if you go to plugandgroove.com, all of the libraries for Unify, all the libraries for Omnisphere, for Serum, for everything are on sale. So there's a great chance to get this and save some money. So head on over to plugandgroove.com. These environmentals are super cool for giving you kind of a cool setting. With birds, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, Cloud City is probably my favorite library I have ever created. Of all the libraries I have done, just because it's so wide ranging. Triple Spiral Audio is available as Unify. What he means is that you buy the library and it comes with Unify patches so that you can play it. You'll still need to own the Zimbabwe librarians. I think that's for Omnisphere, so you need to own Omnisphere and have the library, and then it would come with the patches. It's kind of like it's unified. Triple Spiral Audio is really, really cool in supporting Unify that way. It's really, really awesome. So all these roll percussion kits and stuff, all samples I performed right here in my little room, cajon, all sorts of stuff. So Cloud City would be a great place if you want to do fantasy. Some of these bell things and stuff are just out of this world. The BPM bell stuff right here, these like dancing flames and it's really, really fun stuff. Not to mention the BPM splits, which there is a ton of, which set up everything in all sorts of different, like, ready to play and our own Sonny Hartley played the flute. The Alchemy library that I did working only on the Mac in Logic because, you know, God bless Apple. They love to buy companies than take them away from everybody. So yeah, so Cloud City goes all over the place and all this kind of fun, creative stuff. Lost Tomb is an insane one that it has. You know, all sorts of cool vibes, all sorts of stuff, even poppy kind of things. This is based on a Justin Bieber kind of. Got the big bass. Right, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that is Cloud City if you are looking for fantasy stuff. Let's see here. I forgot to take this out. This is the library in the works that we're going to be releasing for Frank Neumann and his company Particle Sound. Can't show you a lot about it, but it's really, really cool. If you love plucks, you're going to freak out. We are soon to release Serum libraries in Unify format. Kemoji is pretty much ready to go. So if you buy that library while it's on sale this weekend, it'll probably be on sale when I release this support. Right? So those are coming. Now, let's go to some of our other stuff to talk about. Last week, actually a couple weeks ago, it came out. Last week I was going to show you, and I was unavailable, and that is a new library from Cherry Audio. This is memory mode. And as I said, it's incredible. It's 3 oscillators, a pretty robust modulation system, filter resonance like a Moog. But the unique thing with the memory mode, this is a synth I really wanted as a kid, as a teenager when it came out, because it was so powerful sounding and sound cool. Some of my favorite bands were using it. It's basically, at the time, it was 6 Moogs, basically mini Moogs in a single synth. So it had a lot going on. And they've done a wonderful job in recreating only now it's up to 16 voices of polyphony. Really nice filtering. The other parts are here. And because we've unified all the patches, so if you have the synthesizer, you're able to play it from Unify directly. You have controls for get into programming with just the knobs in Unify. It's pretty cool. We have hooks plugged into the reverb and the delay inside memory mode. One thing that it has that's nice that is not available in a real memory mode is that it does have an area down here with the arpeggiator, phaser, the ensemble effect, echo, and reverb, which are really nice additions, which definitely give it more flexibility programming-wise to make cool sounds. And the nice thing with this interface is everything's organized, easy to find and locate. There's nothing really bad to say about it. It's a little CPU heavy, and that might get optimized. I don't know. The way that they're doing the stuff to emulate what a real Moog would do is pretty decent. And so it is taking CPU power to do that. Remember, this is showing the maximum use on one of your cores. The most heavily used core shows up here to tell you what's up. So this doesn't mean the whole computer is being used. Just one of your cores for this plugin is being used. Well, Daniela, the library of all the factory patches, all was it like 586 patches is available in Unify format, so you can use it really quickly to call up, go to another library like say Hive, find a cool synth sound here to match with this. Let's see, do we have a synth can over here? That's why we unify the libraries, so that you can combine this with this and have so library does exist. Totally exists. I haven't made patches because I don't need to make patches. There's 586 patches in Unify format to layer with other patches to create any kind of combination of sounds you want. Right? So that is an incorrect statement. If Unify is the host, it's in the sampler. So Unify is a cool hybrid plugin. We are able to host all plugins in VST, VST3, and audio unit format if you're on the Mac. And we allow you to do really fun things because up to 24 layers can be used in a single patch. And each of those layers could be any plugin that you own. I've made libraries when you install Unify, download the demo. There's a free demo you can try out. We have a set of simple free plugins that we've gotten permission to include with Unify so that it has the ability for me to voice it. So when you go down here to Unify standard library, there's 570 patches that go all over the place. Some of them, if you get to the BPM split stuff, can get really carried away what's going on inside of Unify. This is one using 9 different layers. So it gets really, really fun what you can do with Unify with all of your plugins, kind of the idea. Yeah, Dave, sorry. The Mac files for the I did a library for Alchemy, but it's only for the Mac version. It's specific to the parameters in the Mac Logic Pro X version of Alchemy. I was fortunate to work on the original version of Alchemy, like Dancing Gnomes. The first patch in Alchemy is a patch I created, which is really, really fun. But Apple bought them and then they disappeared from PC world. So play with the demo if you haven't tried Unify before. It's really fun to have a place to play with any of your plugins. So, and we'll be looking at a a cool example of this in a minute when I show you hammers, right? Can you show how you're able to map different samples to different velocities on the same key? Yes, I can show you that. The main way to do that would be to use layers inside of Unify. Let's say that we want to play with a couple different drum kits. Let's go Cloud City. There's these drum kits. Let's go up here and say kit and drum. Now there's all these grooves. I think drum kit. Yeah, here we go. So we've got Chaos Iconic. Let's say I wanted to do, let's do this, and I want it so that when I play hard, I'm going to load this into a new Unify layer. So I have, and I'm going to hold down, I can control an option to make it so they're, and then set one layer to a velocity range of say 0 to like 99, and then have the second one be from 100 to 127, and now you can now have it where it switches between samples. There's no parameters inside a Guru sampler for setting up velocity ranges, anything like that. If you're dealing with making your own sample maps with a text editor, you can put in velocity ranges there. And that's a whole other, I'm out of focus. Oh, okay. Out of focus. The camera's out of focus. Let me see. Is the camera still in focus? I hope it's still. Yeah. Huh? Hello! Yeah, it's in focus. So you'd use layers this way. So you could put one set of toms, have another set of toms, different velocity ranges for them, and off you go. So that's using the parameters in the layers to get that going. All right, so let's, so anyway, if you, for $39, it's a no-brainer to pick up the Memory Mode plugin. The basses are great. As you see, there are some patches that are MPE. So if you have an MPE controller, each note is able to be independently controlled tuning-wise and so forth like that. And again, this is just single note. This 3 voices. Go here and say I want 15 voices. And it's huge. It's just, I mean, it's not bad. Right? So the tools are there for making all sorts of cool retro analog sounds. Big. The filter is wonderful. The resonance, as you hear, is full range. It doesn't poop out so many filters. When you get down into this range, poop out. This doesn't. So they modeled the ladder filter really nicely. Really impressed. Yes, so if you want to get, a couple things, buy Memory Mode, install it on your computer. When you go to Unify, you're going to want to either scan your VST plugins or go to select a plugin to scan, go to the VST folder, not the VST3 or the audio unit. You go memory mode, find it, click open. That way when you get down the list, when you see memory mode, memory mode right here, you want to see VST. That means that when you go to the unified patches, which you can find, let's see if we go plugin guru. I think I have to log out real quick. So if you go to the pluginguru.com website, just to follow through so you guys get the idea. When you see the Unify, you can click there. You can also go to products and go to Unify right there. Scroll down the list, and below all the cool information on Unify, the list of the available libraries that are currently available down here is where you get to all the plugins that have been unified. So all of these patches exist in Unify format. There's over 20,000 patches here. And Cherry Audio Memory Mode is at the top of the list as the newest library. There's some that you see that say use VST3 format. That's because some synths don't have a VST2 plugin. So you have to use the VST3 format. But if it doesn't say that, then it's a VST2 based library. So if you get the error message when you load a patch that it's can't find the plugin, then that tells you it's not accessing the right version of the plugin. So you just tell Unify where that plugin format that it wants is, and then it works. And then when you install it into Unify by using the select.guru file, select it from the unzip folder you download, it will install these patches, and now you have right click to add a new Unify layer a couple times, and all of a sudden you've got yourself I've got 3 memory modes playing at once. It's really fun. So that's how to get the library installed. Okay. I'm going to show you hammers at the end. Let's do MIDI files next. I've gotten emails from a couple of you guys talking about, hi Tim. Tim Dale is here, listening while driving. Still cool to see Tim show up. He has, does the memory mode have an ARP? Yes, it does have an ARP. And we were able to get it to be tempo sync sometimes. Be aware, if you get to the BPM patches, there are times where we decided not to change it, where it's not set to sync. Because sometimes they're doing effects and stuff that's kind of weird, but most of these are so I'm loading BPM patches, so there's 3. Here's one where it's more of an effect, so I don't think this is synced. Oh, it is. But it's set to triplets, so to get this to work right, put it to 8th notes maybe. So you can check the timing. If something isn't playing right, there's ways to fix it to be synced. All right, so all sorts of fun stuff to play with there. So have at it. Lots of fun. So MIDI files. Lots of people have been talking about ways of using MIDI files. I showed you in a video recently how to get MIDI files to show up, because MIDI files have a weird non-tag. So that, please watch the video, like 2 or 3 videos earlier in my stream about how to set up your subsets so that you can make a MIDI effect subset, and then put the MIDI effects that you've purchased that are third-party, scalar, so forth. I'm going to show you Ripcord in a minute, which is a free one, into Access. So that way, you know, let's go over here and load up let's go like Guru Sampler. This is loading up just a layer preset to give me, it's going to change Guru Sampler to be nice and plucky synth. Perfect for working with MIDI effects. Now, if we were to use MIDI box, and then let's say these are some MIDI files that I have on my hard drive, a couple that some of my customers have sent to me. If I say load this as a MIDI effect into Unify, into the MIDI box player, I now have a MIDI file playing. And if you set it to either poly or key transpose, you can play any note. And it's in tempo. So if I go to Cloud City and I say I wanted to have some sort of a cool making coffee groove without pitch, I don't want it to change pitch so it stays the same sound. I have a good start for a fun song. Now, this is the most basic way of MIDI files. So, and what I did is I just said I want to load, and then you can take a file wherever it is on your hard drive and drag it over load. And why aren't you playing? Ah, interesting. Here's a cool example. Cool chords, right? But I have to play with this tempo. Right? Well, I'm going to show you a MIDI effect that is free. We supported them early on, and they have done continual updates. Let's see this. What's the name of this? So I can find it. Yeah, Ripcord. So if I go over here to Ripcord, it's trackabout.com Ripcord. And it's, like I said, it's a free plugin. Let me get this so it's smaller so I can... he has added so much to this. It's really, really impressive what it can do now. One of the cool things that it does that I'm going to show you right now is this. So this is playing a MIDI file in MIDI box, right? It's playing these cool chords, but it's in a timed MIDI file, which means it's playing that sequence, and I have to wait until whenever for the next chord to play. Well, I'm going to go over here. I have set Ripcord up in my set of MIDI effects, so I can just go here to load it and say Ripcord. They have a cool feature under the little system thing here saying import MIDI files. And if I say import MIDI files, and if I load that, I think this is the MIDI file that I loaded. I'm playing them. Let's see, I guess I can transpose my keyboard. So now they're on keys. Now I can play with these chords. There's those four. I can now play with them. Let me kill the drums. That's not really helping this example. I think after a certain number of samples, I wish, let's see if there's a way to, let's see if I say, I haven't played with this a lot to see about remapping these notes. Edit. Can I transpose? I can go copy, paste. So I'm able to move these notes back up into the upper part of the keyboard range this way. So I can go copy, paste. So I'm moving different notes up to the middle of the keyboard range, so I don't have to have Unify 2 octaves down. So now I have the chords from that MIDI file, but the timing information is gone because Ripcord's all about letting you play, right? And then what's fun, if I go over here to operations and I say copy plugin state, I could go up here and say, give me a new MIDI effect layer. Let's put Ripcord here and then go over here to the little dot of this plugin operations, paste plugin state. And then I go to this layer and I say MIDI 1, and now I've routed this. So it's working exactly as it was before, but now Ripcord is up here. And the reason I did that is because, let's delete this. With it up here, I can go to any other plugin, choose any other patch. Let's say we want to go to a cool pad or something like that. Cosmos. Let's load this into layer 1. And then let's go to another library, like an Omnisphere library. Like Del Norte would be cool. And let's say pluck. And let's say EXO did this patch. So let's say let's load this layer 1. It'll take a second to load up Omnisphere, but now I have 3 different synths with 3 different sounds. And by setting all 3 layers to M1, this one MIDI effect hold down Option to transpose up. Let's surf around and find a different patch just by. Let's use a piano patch. Now I have a cool sound. It took 3 synthesizers. Now I have a sound that would work for a really cool production. Using Unify to play 3 different plugins through a MIDI effect is something that's really hard to set up in most DAWs type of a setup. They can play 1 MIDI effect to 1 layer. Getting this kind of routing easily and reliably is hard. So that's how you could use it. Now there's another MIDI effect I want to just point out, because instead of using MIDI effects and loading them in and doing all these steps, there's a company that made something that kind of did all that for you already. And that's with Scalar. And it's available through a plugin boutique. If you go to Scalar 2, it actually has 3 different ways to work. It's really, really nice. Turn on the little A light right here. Well, I guess I gotta probably choose an artist to get something going, and then hit A, and so I have these chords all set up for all of these songs. So I could say I also have for different genres. You also can use it based on chordal theory and then choose different voicing. This I need to trans. And different variations, you get into modulation, different types of chords and so if you want to experiment, this has all sorts of crazy places to go without you needing to download MIDI files, without you needing to load them in and get them mapped across the keyboard. It's done it for you already. For all these, off you go, right? So it's a really nice MIDI effect for giving you tons of like MIDI packs all in one plugin without having to drag and drop MIDI chords and doing that approach. So I highly recommend people get into Scalar. If chord theory and chord progressions isn't your thing, you just want to play and come up with ideas and work around with stuff, it's a great place to go and try that kind of stuff out. So yeah. Yes, that's true. Daniela, Unify does not offer separation onto separate audio outputs. That's not a feature we have in that right now, so very sorry. Maybe someday, okay? Really no substitute for real musical abilities. That's true, very true. But you know, there's a lot of people that love music and want to do something when they get off work. A lot of you guys work and make your money not in the music industry. You come home and you just want something to play with and have fun. And so Scalar 2, for pros and for amateurs alike, is a great place to just get you some things to work with to start, you know, developing ideas and so forth like that. All right, so that's kind of the MIDI stuff I wanted to cover. Any questions on MIDI effects? Yes, it's a really nice combination to have Scalar and all of the stuff Unify can do. It's a huge play part for that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Will Joseph is saying that Shane made Unify too efficient. He's made songs that play fine in Unify, but if I try to replicate it in Cubase, the CPU hits 100%. That's interesting. Wow. Yeah. What's really fun, and as you'll see in a minute with Hammer, is just Unify lets you mock up scenarios and play it in real time. You don't have to keep going back and hit and play in your sequencer, your DAW, to try things out. You can experiment. It's very, very fun. So let's take a look at a new library. Can you map physical controllers to show MIDI? No pitch bend, but it has some rotary controls. I don't think we do remapping of pitch bend. I don't know if I have, and it wouldn't be show MIDI. What you'd want to use is ModMate. Let me see here. If I go, I don't know if I have this. Let's go instruments, MIDI effects, ModMate. ModMate, add, save. So now I can call up a ModMate from here. And ModMate gives you the ability to reroute. It doesn't do pitch bend rerouting, but MIDI CCs can be any MIDI CC in. Click this little box and it's now being sent to this out. And this could be a completely different MIDI CC or aftertouch, which is really, really, really handy. Because aftertouch is one of those things, most keyboards, it's more like after switch, you know, you push hard. Aftertouch is one of those things that's really nice to be able to automate just by going like this and recording it this way. Or if you have a physical keyboard, like I have one here, MIDI CC1 is now controlling aftertouch. So when I move my physical controller, because of me routing it this way, if I turn this off, it doesn't work, but I can route this now. And what's really cool with ModMate, this is a free MIDI effect available at our website, is you can go over here and you can checkbox all 4 MIDI CCs that it receives. Let's see, actually, no, it's not that way. I want to go over here and say, I want this one MIDI CC to send all 4 MIDI CC out. And now I'm sending 4 different MIDI CCs or aftertouch simultaneously as real-time controls that your DAW can pick up and record. And it can be any MIDI CC number that each one of those 4 streams are. So if you need to have control over something in your system, ModMate is a really cool MIDI effect for doing that. So check it out, okay? And finally, I'm going to show you a new plugin from Spitfire Audio. This is called Hammers. And this is, Nuendo, Daniela says a lot of Cubase users test Nuendo. Nuendo is considered probably the king when it comes to audio recording. I just think it sounds great. The studio where I've recorded all the samples for my instruments, we record everything into Nuendo. It's great. So this is Spitfire Hammers. This is spitfireaudio.com. This is a library created by Charlie Clausa, who is a really interesting cat that has been around for a while. He was a bandmate with, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor. And he was, he wrote some of the songs, Star, and some other songs. I met Charlie many years ago in Los Angeles, before 9 Inch Nails, before anything. He had a studio at Capitol Records in Hollywood, the big multi-story thing that looks like a stack of records. He had a studio there, and I went, I think with Randy Jackson, or it might have been with another friend of mine, but he played, he was much younger, more hair, and he had these remixes he had done. He had this one that had recordings of a pastor from a radio station in this techno track that was just blew my mind clear out of the water. So talented. And so I've really enjoyed watching all the stuff he's done in his career. He's crazy talented. He's got a killer place with a killer room. $229 for this library is basically like a $39 Cherry Audio, in my opinion, for what this library gives you for the amount of work. It's 100 gigabytes. So be aware of that. I actually had to have it installed. Here, I'll turn off my air conditioner for this part of this presentation, but I put it on a separate hard drive from the other. One nice thing you can do if you need to do stuff like that, if you use the Spitfire application, before you install something, go to settings and you can change the default content path to where you need it to be, then install the library, and it will install it to that location, and it can be a different location than other products, right? So that way you can have things set up in different places on different hard drives if necessary, because this is 100 gigabytes, not megabytes. I mean, it's just crazy. 25 years ago with Korg, we were working with, 256 kilobytes, 5 megabytes or small amounts for everything inside of the O1W. Took like 2 megabytes of memory. And now we're into just, but there's a reason why it is so large. And I will show you this. It's a little soft, but you can crank up the volume here or in other places. If you play everything at max volume, it will get loud. This is an ensemble, which is just kind of like a summary of everything. And if I actually take it down an octave, I'll get to the kicks. I mean, the low end on the recordings. I mean, it's crazy, crazy. So it's fun. 8 velocity layers per sample. Round robins. I don't think the round robin is as dynamic as it should be. If I play the same sample, I'd expect to hear it round robin. So each of the drums that you're hearing are available as separate things. There's bass drums, surdos, toms, rototoms, frame drums, snare drum. Not that great, but it's okay. Darbuka and scrap. And scrap's all these really cool metal sounds. Right? Let me show you, say, for example, like the rototoms. As you can see, there's different settings here. And he likes to do a thing where there's notes in this range, and then up 2 octaves are the same samples. And then there's another tom here, and 2 octaves up are those. So you can, having 3 notes assigned to the same instrument range, and then C sharp and the D sharp, give you the accidentals and so forth. The reason library is 100 gigabytes in size is if you go over here to the mix page, this is one of 6 different mixes of every hit. It's just nuts. So there's this mix. Each time you do this, it takes a second to load up the samples. Here's a different mix. Here's a different mix. The more extreme, and then you have separates of close, overheads. It'll take a minute to load them all up. Separate mixes for the overhead and the room. And so, yeah, it hasn't even loaded up the room yet. So you have complete controllability over every set, and the whole set was repeated for 2 players and 4 players. Which is an awful lot of data. So that's why if you go to here, it's the same thing. There's 3 different mixes, then there's the settings. So if I turn all these guys off, mix 2, I kind of like that. Killer stuff. And because of Charlie's room, it's really sharp metal, glass, On top of this, there's a reverb, which you can change to different reverb presets here. So go stone. Really short. If you go to like ambient. Right? So those are cool. That's just this is like maybe 30, 45% of the library, because then it gets really crazy. There's loops, and then there's warped versions of those loops. And they get crazy. If you go to the toms, here's the loops. As you go up the keyboard, if there's one complaint that I have, and it's really just with the technology they're using inside of Spitfire's plugins, is it's tempo synced audio, but it changes the tempo. It doesn't keep the pitch. It changes the pitch when you're changing the tempo. You hear these toms. If I was going to use this at 80 beats per minute, here it's changing this. Now, I think it has a thing where when it senses a certain tempos, it changes to loops of different types. So if I spin this down to like 90, yeah, see? So it's actually smart in that it can tell that I'm at 107, so now, right? Now, they have the same mix stuff that they had with the actual individual hits. So if you load up to close, take off the reverb, now check this out. I love the warps. The warps are maybe the coolest stuff. So call this up. Right? That's the same thing. So this tells me, let's go duplicate this. It's both at 0, so it's not quite so loud. Let's top one, and instead of being the warp toms, let's have it just be the straight loops of toms. So now we're playing both together. And then the thing that's really crazy, on the warps, when you go to the mix page, it's no longer the separate stems and stuff, but it's 6 different warps. There's 1, here's 2. Here's 3. And you can use all these together So the power of what you can do with this library is pretty nuts. And to think that there's 6 different warps of every loop that's matched to the same loops, and all of the loops have individual stems of all the audio, and all the hits have individual stems of all the audio that are all phase locked. To put this into, there's just no way to put it into perspective. There's no way to record it in a studio anywhere close to this quality. And then to get all these drums, and then to get somebody to play them, and then to get 4 people to play them together to play the same loops and learn the patterns that you do. I mean, it's just, you'd be into the tens of thousands of dollars if you were to do this yourself. So to be able to buy this for $229 is just nuts, right? So if you need cinematic drums, even if you don't need cinematic drums, you just need cool, really cool percussion that's a little different. Christian was saying in his video that he's really curious what people in dance, EDM stuff will do with these loops and with these warps and all this kind of stuff. So I'm curious what's going to happen too, because there's an awful lot here to play with. It's really, really fun. So there's also over here filtering and compression and normalizing of the velocity of the ranges and certain things. So it's got an awful lot to offer. So Nuendo is only for movie, 3D audio, and game sound design. That is totally incorrect, and I have no idea why you would say that. Nuendo is a high-quality audio recording environment that you can record anything you want. It's not just to say 3 things. It's for anything you want to record. And like I said, we've done recording sessions with Nuendo at a studio. He does all sorts of commercial work for TV shows and stuff like that. It's not just for one. My hammer does not sound like this. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just calling up the patches and playing it. If it doesn't sound like this, I don't know what to say. If you call up, if you go up here to the ensemble, this gives you everything to play with. It'll take a minute to load up. I'm not doing anything special here, just playing it. I'm just playing the keys. And Unify has no effects on it. I really should actually probably go to Unify Dynamics and put a loud max just to protect it from not going, because I have it turned up kind of loud. So oh, yeah, Jazz Dude, I don't have time to read all the chat that goes by, so please don't dude me. When I can look over and see what's going on and comment, but you guys talk about all sorts of weird stuff in the chat during a live stream. It's kind of like a whole separate live stream going on from the one that I'm doing sometimes. So I'm not able to reply all the time. Wasn't the hammer comment a joke about using a real hammer? It could be. Like I said, I'm not reading the whole chat, so maybe I missed something. They are, it is acoustic drums, and I really like that while there is this edgy hybrid part of it with the loops, I almost wish it would have had some of the hits. But they didn't, but it's cool. And then on top of this, there's flams, roughs, and rolls, which you can cycle between with different notes that you assign to the articulations and have them set up, right? So right? So you can do a whole, by using the different things that are here. Right? So it's great, very well put together. The reason it's 100 gigabytes is because all of the separate stems and the overheads and the different things you can do mix-wise with the elements that are here. That's just an awful lot of sample content. And hats off to Spitfire Audio for putting it all together in one plugin with so many things for the loops, to have the separate stems of mixes that match to the hits. That's an awful lot of work. I would be working at that for years. Yeah, Lowell, I might make a separate forum for general discussions. That's a good one to talk about. He's external USB enclosures for people that are running out of space, because these libraries, I hate to tell you, are not getting any smaller. And I don't think they're just going to keep growing. It's part of the competitive nature of human beings, you know. Oh my gosh, this library is at this. The next library will be 125 gigabytes, right? And all of a sudden your 2 terabyte hard drive, your 4 terabyte hard drive, boom, it's gone in no time at all. So now there's all sorts of drums missing. This isn't like an exhaustive everything thing, but this is like the palette of drums that Charlie uses for the, what is it? Oh, I forgot. Somebody tell me the film. Oh, what is it? Oh, I can't remember the films that he's done. Starts with an S. Saw. Thank you, Simeon. The Saw series. If you haven't seen those, they're intense and graphic and gross and frightening because someone's playing tricks on people. It's kind of like watching into a hamster cage that you set up to torture your hamsters and kill them or something like that. But it's people, right? So pretty sick. But these sounds would work great for it, right? Just great stuff. Very, very, very well done. Yeah, so. Thank you, all of you guys, for helping it. Yeah, Simeon, do Saw or do a Hammers for church. I can hear that in church. Actually, you know, there's a lot of this stuff, playing these things at soft velocities, is really nice for that type. It could be used in different environments and settings. When you get to some of like the rototoms and frame drums, oh, this one doesn't have the articulations. I thought, let's see, maybe frame drums? Brushes, yeah, so. I don't hear any round robin. Same sample over and over again, so. I hear the same sample over and over again. Round robin means that each time you play the note, it's supposed to be a different sample. And for some reason, velocity is changing to different samples. It's the same sample. And I believe it's supposed to be, it says round robin's 9. They talk about this in their presentations. Maybe there's a bug not letting it play right. I don't know. We record multiple versions of many techniques that when they are played repeatedly, it sounds more natural. Yeah. This doesn't sound natural. That's why I'm... Oh, there they are. Yeah, it's not changing round robins the way I would expect. If you go to the BBC Symphony Orchestra in the core version, let's see here, go Spitfire Audio. Spitfire Audio BBC. I have the core build of the library, and here the strings do the round robin very effectively, and it's very nice. Strings, and you go to the, say, staccatos or something like that, and it'll take a second for them to. Takes a while for it to go, oh, I gotta load these samples, and starts to load, and it's 700, 800 megabytes, so forth. I guess it must be from top down. Need some advice. I want to pick up either Vintage Vault or Omnisphere. That's two totally different things. UVI Vintage Vault will be mainly a sample playback plugin. Not a lot of parameters to change to make new sounds easily, whereas Omnisphere is a dreamer programmer's dream come true as far as synthesizers. It's the #1 best-selling synthesizer ever made by anybody ever. And there's a reason for that. So here how it's changing samples. Even here. Maybe just today round robins aren't working that well. So yeah, UVI Vintage Vault will be just a whole bunch of presets from all sorts of vintage synthesizers done in the past. Omnisphere, I'll show that just for a second. It's one of my favorite synthesizers. There's a lot of sample maps that Eric and his team did of all sorts of synthesizers, but it's more for the goal of having those. If you go over here to sample and you go to the sample memory and you say Moog or Jupiter, then you have all these samples. But it's raw waveforms. Like if you get UVI Vintage Vault, that might be one of the thousands of patches in it, right? Or this. But the whole power of Omnisphere is the fact that it's up to 4 oscillators with a synthesizer engine that has FM, ring mod, a wave shaper that could do sample rate and bit resolution noise, unison, harmonia that can do chords, and a granular engine that you can do all this stuff to mess up samples. And the list of samples inside of it, while it has this stuff, it also has things like phrases, PHR, for all of these. Let's get down here to the phrases. And if you turn on granular on something like this, right? You go to position. You can do all sorts of really cool things. I have so now it's frozen just a certain part of the sample. And then you can use it as one layer. And then go another layer and turn on a synth. And the second layer, let's use unison and make this into a pad. Right? So you can go places. I have 40 libraries for Omnisphere, and you can go some really crazy cool places. Go to something like OmniX, and you have all these really cool BPM basses and BPM drums and pads. All sorts of places that Vintage Vibes or whatever that library is will never do anything about it. Right? So I would say for the money, Omnisphere is where you'd want to go, just because there's so much you can do with this plugin. It really, I've put drums into it. I've got, there's all sorts of places you can take it. The first library that I did, Omniverse, is still a really fun. They're on sale, by the way, pluginguru.com. You can go so many places from one patch to another, so it's there you go. Beatles eternally, you will have fun. And there's all sorts of libraries where people have made vintage patches for Omnisphere, calling up those samples. There's like, last I checked, there's over 500 libraries for Omnisphere, which is one of the reasons I don't make libraries for Omnisphere anymore. I made the first third-party library. This library, Omniverse, was made in 2011, 10 years ago. I made the first third-party library for Omnisphere, this library. And now there's 500 libraries for it, so. Also, if I make a library for Omnisphere, it'll just be torrented by half of the people that use it. So I don't make libraries for plugins anymore unless it's something I can do through Unify where I can protect my work. Because Unify allows me to protect my work. And I've done enough emails to people on eBay selling 20 of my libraries for $15. I'm done doing that if I can help it. So has to be protected, or else I won't support it, because And so we have come to the conclusion. I hope you have enjoyed this. To summarize, the guitar library is coming out very nicely, and it's going to be more than just the guitar library with the modularity and the splits and different patches and different basses and a whole bunch of drum grooves from 3 different drum kits. It's gonna be really fun. So that will be out hopefully August is what I'm aiming for. Memory Moog from Cherry Audio is a no-brainer. In my opinion, if you need really cool cinematic drums, Hammers from Spitfire Audio is equally a no-brainer. Be aware, it's an awful lot of data. There is no, I was thinking maybe you could like download just the hits or download just the loops if you wanted to have different things. It's one download, it's 99 gigabytes to download. So be prepared for having a place to put that. Like button if you don't mind, that's very nice. I actually don't, I make a little bit of money on YouTube. It's not my my bread and butter. It is in that it supports my promotion of my libraries and other people's libraries. That's how people get pays their bills, stuff like that. But I love connecting with all of you and hanging out and showing you cool things. There's always new things to play with, so hopefully my eye gets better, and we'll do another live stream next week. Okay? Let's do our shout outs. Shout out from Portland, Oregon here. We're supposed to get back into the 90s, 95 for Wednesday and Thursday, which is way too hot for Portland. Yes, there was some functionality stuff I was thinking about showing, but I had a meeting with Shane and decided not to show you any of the functionality that we're developing in Unify right now. So there's, like I said, a future update will make the guitar library even better than when it comes out. But that I don't think we're going to have an update come out before the library comes out. So this is how it's going to be presented when the library comes out. So I'm not showing you anything else until it's ready, Look at that. Wisconsin, the UK, Colorado, England. Darren, good to see you. Thank you. Richard from Santa Clara, California. Oh, man, I want to go do some roller coasters, man. Haven't done coasters in a while. I'm overdue. When I go to LA in January, I am for sure stopping at Six Flags. I did Viper 6 times in a row, one trip. And I went with a friend and we had Mexican before, and that was not a good idea. But we won't talk about that. Wismos in Nottingham, UK, Switzerland for Bernie, Ivar, Norway, you guys all rock. So good to see you all. Yeah, I don't tease with features. I've learned my lesson. That is a very bad habit, and I don't do that anymore. So I will show you something when it's soon to you to be able to have it too. It does no help to anybody and adds confusion if I show you something that's not out for 3 months, right? Who knows when it will be out? I'm not putting a date, not saying anything, but when something is ready and when we have it around the corner, I will show you. So there you go. Yeah. There's one in Santa Clara and there's one down in Los Angeles too that I love. Santa Clara, oh God, they've got the jet one that you're dangling. I love that. And the one where you're flat on your back like a hospital gurney. So cool. So don't forget, there's a sale at my website. If you need inspiring patches for all your plugins, please visit. If you don't have Unify, you can download the free demo, try it out. It will blow your mind. And, oh, that's Great America. Oh, right. Isn't that part of Six Flags? I thought that's part of Six Flags too. Anyway, roller coasters are fun. All right, well, cheers to you all, and to all a good day. I'm gonna go have my favorite chicken sandwich at my little wings place here in Portland. It's my treat I do every Saturday after I have a live stream. If anybody ever wants to meet me, let me know. I'll tell you where to meet me. We can have a sandwich and wings together. All right, be well. See you guys soon, okay? Bye. Thanks for joining.